I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight to our season-ending or year-ending banquet. It's been a good year. New coach, good beginning, looking for an even brighter future. Proud of all the guys, and be interesting to see how we do next year. But here, we're here to celebrate this year, players we had this year, especially our seniors, and the accomplishments that we had. And again, just welcome. And if you don't care, we'll. You're fine. You're fine. If you don't mind, we'll go ahead and get started. Let our senior players and families go first. If you don't mind, I'll say a blessing and we'll begin to eat. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. Father, we thank you for the rain. We've had a lot, Father, but we haven't had as much as they have in Texas, and just pray for those folks down there, Father. We're especially thankful tonight for the baseball team and the parents and for the good things that have been done this year, Father. We just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to celebrate the season and celebrate the boys. And just pray that you'll be with us in this. And, Father, we're especially thankful at this time for the food that we're about to partake of, Father. We just pray that we'll be thankful for it and that we'll all have a good time tonight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Excuse me, hate to interrupt your conversation, but there is a lot of good college baseball games on, and let's get over and go home and watch them. First of all, just appreciate everybody coming, and I'm going to do a lot of thinking here, thanking you guys for the next few minutes, but just thanks for coming. Ron brought up, was talking about how awesome it was when he said go eat, and the players, of course, they ran and eat, but most of the parents stayed and just kind of had their fellowship, and I think that's really what banquets are about. That's why we do this. It's to me, it's not about the plaques or anything we're going to hand out. It's about just because there's a good chance we're not going to be in this room together again with these people. So just thank you for being here, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. So I'll try not to ruin it with my little talk here. Before, this is about the team. It's particularly about the seniors for me because, this is the last time I know for sure I'm going to see some of these guys. But before we get to that, I do have a list of people here I'd like to thank. First of all, this is not by any means a full list, and I will leave people out. And I apologize for that. But just know that if you are in this room, I cannot be more sincere when I say thank you, because there's not one person in this room that's not helped me in my transition here to Lincoln County. So thank you for that. But just a few highlights here I do want to point out. If you've been to the facility, as all of you have, we did a lot of work at the facility this year, this off season, and continuing to do that. And none of that could have happened without a lot of the people in this room. We spent, usually not a good idea to get hired and then immediately ask for about $12,000, but that's what I did. But we were able to get it, so I appreciate that. We renovated the infield. We bought a new infield machine. We put the seats in, which was the labor of you guys. We redid it kind of how we did the signs. We repaired the backstop. The list goes on. Grad even cleared out the jungle that was behind the fence, which was a big deal because putting the flag up was a risky maneuver until he did that. So appreciate that. And that's just a small sample of everything that was done. I can't begin to name. I tried to think about all that, and I couldn't do it. As far a few individuals that I'd like to point out, most of them are sitting at this table. The first one's Mike Weatherington. Everybody in here knows who he is and what he does for us. Mike was the first person, other than Coach Bell, who did my interview that I met after coming over to Fayetteville, to Lincoln County, and he has been behind me 100% through maybe a little bit of a rocky year, but still his support's unwavering. The list of what all he does goes on and on. It's more than you know, more than I know. There's the obvious things like the golf tournament, the Lighthouse Classic, and those things, but it's just thank you, Mike. Dan Holt and the staff here at Pebble Creek have been unbelievably helpful with the golf tournament tonight, and more things that I probably don't remember. But they have, Dan and all of his businesses has helped us out in multiple ways. All of the corporate sponsors, and I began to list these, and I don't remember them all, but I apologize for that. But we did honor those before one of the games. Special thanks to those people. Two people that should not be forgotten is Steve Austin and the Gentry family for what they do for our players with the scholarship money and honoring those. I'd like to thank those people. Everybody that is involved with the Lighthouse Classic. I was telling Mike and a few others before, I've watched that Lighthouse Classic probably 10 or 12 times since the season's over, which is a little bit ridiculous, but I like watching it. We won, and it was fun. So, FPU in particular, without them, I would not be able to watch that Lighthouse Classic. So appreciate those people that involved with that. Speaking of which, I was wanting to point out we have what we believe to be the final tally. We raised $1,075 for the American Cancer Society at the Lighthouse. Did I say no? American Heart Association. I'm sorry, American Heart Association. So and you people were the one that raised that money by coming to the game, by buying the shirts and other things. So appreciate that. The Diamond Dolls. I want to thank the Diamond Dolls. Most of them are right over there. Appreciate you. Appreciate our sponsor, that Teresa Smith. You guys, the players, whether they know it or not, appreciate you, because if not for you, they would have been the one running to get foul balls. So appreciate that. Not to mention all the other things you guys do, the snacks, and I'm forgetting stuff, the scrapbooks. The list goes on. So appreciate everything you guys, or girls, do. Paul Henry. Paul is here tonight. Paul is at every one of our home games. He always finds nice things to say about us, even when we probably don't deserve it, in the paper. So appreciate you, Paul. The Booster Club officers, and I'm almost done. The Booster Club officers, Ron, our president, and Ron, I never knew until I got this job what a Booster Club president did at a program like this. My dad, who most of you have met, was a Booster Club president for 8 years at Polk High School, a much smaller program with not near the inner workings of this one. And I told Dad, I was like, you don't know how good you have it. But because the things Ron has to do with is never ending. I mean, even just today, he had to take off work today. So, it's a hard job, I promise you. You can't imagine what all goes into it. Some of you, Mike knows, but not many else in this room. There's a lot to it. So just appreciate Ron, and he knows this. Tell him all the time how much I appreciate it. Todd McAdams, who's not here tonight, he's our vice president. A lot of what Todd does, I don't think many of you see or maybe realize, but Todd has worked tirelessly at really unifying the youth at South Lincoln, the middle school, under the Falcon LCHS organization, and that is you can't put a price on that. He is starting these kids out at South Lincoln all the way through the middle school as Falcons. They want to come to Lincoln County, and Todd makes sure that happens. And so I want to thank Todd for that again. He's not here, but he knows how much we appreciate it. Teresa Smith is our treasurer, along with many other things, and Stacy Pack helped her out quite a bit. But Teresa's the one who writes the check, so we all appreciate her. So. Teresa has done everything for me. She helped me find a place I'm living. So I came over here with nowhere, and so I can't even begin to tell her how much I appreciate that. Patty Wright is our secretary, sitting up here also. Patty probably set a single season record for most messages sent out this year because of the torrential rain and snow and apocalyptic weather we had this spring. So. Patty, that alone in itself is enough for a huge thank you, so I appreciate it. Lastly, I just want to thank all the parents in this room. without you guys, this could, and I'm not just talking about the help you do with the Booster Club, just being a parent, whether you do nothing with the Booster Club. I made some of you drive 2.5 hours to play one game, the first game of the year. And I'm sure all of you was like, what is he doing? But just sacrifices like that, sacrifices that you make, and I know my parents, I'm not a parent obviously, but my parents, the sacrifices they made for me and my brother in our baseball career, I know what you guys do, and from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. This could not happen without you guys. And lastly, and this is a personal note, and I'm not wanting to make this about me, but I've come over here to a town I've never been to, literally ever, not one time. I knew 3 families who were in here, but didn't really know a whole lot of people. And you guys, people in this room, people at the school, administration, Ms. Wallace, Coach Jeff Bell, all of these people, and all the people I've already mentioned, have really made this so easy for me. And it has been hard at times, but without you guys, I could not have done it. I wouldn't be here. I mean, I don't think I could do this without the help you have provided me. And when I tell people not from here and other communities, my friends in the coaching community, about the things that we have and how our Booster Club works and the support we get, and I say this in all seriousness, there is no place like here. I can honestly say this is my 3rd program in 3 years, and there's absolutely no place like Lincoln County High School and the baseball program. And you know, hopefully someday, if ever you guys ever go coaches, want to be a coach, if you don't end up here, you'll see what I'm talking about, because you can't imagine how easy you guys have made it on me. And it not been perfect. I definitely have not, but we're going to figure it out, and I appreciate it. So, having said all that, let's get to why we're here, which is the team. We'll start out and just kind of talking about the season a little bit. That's why we're here. We were 9-16. Only played 25 games. We had 34 scheduled. That's 9 rainouts. And I bring that up because, and I don't mean this to be an excuse. It's going to come out like one, but it's hard to get in a rhythm. Baseball's a game of rhythm. You play 5 or 6 games in a week, and you turn around and do it again. Take Sunday off and go at it again. We never could do that. We went twice where we didn't play a game in 7 days. And I've never been a part of anything like that. I didn't know how to handle it. The players didn't know how to handle it. We weren't the only ones in that boat, but I didn't handle it well. And it was hard, and that made for a difficult season, a weird season, a season I'll never forget for many reasons. But it was just interesting. But I think that record is deceiving. Mike asked me a question before we started. We played 13 district games, including the tournament. If we could take 13 runs and kind of put them where we wanted them, we could have easily been 7-5. We lost 1-run games to Columbia. We lost 1-at-bat games to Franklin County, 2 of them. We lost a 1-at-bat game to Lawrence County. 2 1-run and at-bat games to Tullahoma. So we were close, and close isn't good enough, and I'll never be happy with that. But I guess just trying to find a positive. We were right there. Columbia was an out away from a state tournament, and Coach Pickle commented to me that we played them as well as anybody all year at the game at our place. He also told me, and this is one thing I'll hang my hat on, and I'll be honest with you, those of you that were around me a lot know, the players know, I was a little down there towards the end of the year, and Pickle pulled me aside. And for those of you who don't, Mark Pickle has been at Columbia for 22 years. He will undoubtedly be in the Hall of Fame very soon. To me, he's the most respected guy around here. And he talked to me about how hard our guys played, the attitude in which we had. We played the game the right way, was his exact words. And when he said that, I really kind of reaffirmed and made me feel a little bit better about what we were doing. And that's a credit to the players. At the end of the day, I don't throw a pitch. I don't have an at-bat. The players are the one that do it. And we had a long heart-to-heart in the middle of the year, right before the Forest game, the Lighthouse game. And there had a lot of people ask me the next day at school, why did you make the players run after you won? They know what that was about, and it refocused us. And I'm very pleased, regardless of how it ended, how our record ended. I'm very pleased with how the year ended. Lastly, about the year, kind of looking forward to next year. And I know for some of you this doesn't matter, but we're the only team in AAA. We return pretty much 7 guys who started regularly. Nobody else returns more than 5. We're the only team in AAA to return the 3 pitchers who threw all of our district games, who started our district games. Nobody else returns more than 1. So, despite the year we had and the disappointment that it was, I really think going forward we're heading in the right direction. And I think most of you in the room believe that, and I appreciate that. All right, so about the players then, and that's what this is about. Start off, I just want to introduce the freshmen, and if y'all want to walk up here. We only had 3 this year. I'm pretty sure y'all are all here. Am I right? Daniel Richardson, are you here? No? Okay, I see Josh Price. And Braden Sims, are you here? Yay, Josh. Okay. The one freshman here, one of the only 3 we had. I'll be honest with you, this was 100% my fault, and I've apologized to all the parents. I probably didn't know that NGA was a thing until school started in August. No, I didn't, and that's bad, and that speaks to how prepared I was to what I was walking into. And I had no plan whatsoever for how to incorporate these guys when they were showing up to practice an hour and a half late. No fault of their own, because that's when school ended. And I didn't do a good job of it all year. They got work in individually, what they did, and it was usually just them 3 and me. And it's something I got to get better at. I apologize to those for that. But these 3 guys had their effort and attitude was, in the JV games we played, was always great. They all got better as the year went on. I can say that without a doubt. And they're going to be a big part of the future here at LCHS. So appreciate it. The one freshman. Thank you. All right. Sophomores, and I'm going to talk about you for just a second and have you come up and get your applause. We got several not here, I think. For several of these I knew about. They had prior engagements. But the sophomores, and while I'm talking about the sophomores and the freshmen, and I've told many of you this already, with the weather, we went into the year, I think, and we had 19 or 20 JV games scheduled. I think we played 10. And that was, it is what it is. We did everything we could to get them made up. Ron can tell you the schedule and stuff we tried to go through to fit those in, and we just couldn't do it. And I apologize to those parents, because I truly do understand the importance of JV. I mean, you've been watching your kid play since he was 5, and then he gets to be in high school, and you don't see him play a game in 2 years if you don't play a good JV schedule. And I understand that's not something anybody wants to do, and not to mention the fact that you're developing the players for their future. So I apologize about that. I promise you we'll do better, unless we have another year like we did this year with the weather. But we'll play more games, and again, that's not going to do some of you any good. The sophomores are headed to the varsity. But if y'all just want to come up, and I'll call you out as you come up, just come on, sophomores. Come on. Come on. And I got a list who we're missing here too. So we got JoJo Sims. JoJo was one of the 3 who did double duty for us, playing JV and varsity. And JoJo is fun to be around. We love JoJo. JoJo plays his tail off, and I think anybody in this room, if you at any of the players, and I can say this without question, including the seniors, who plays the hardest, most consistently, it's this guy. So I appreciate JoJo. Caleb Crabtree. Caleb, left-handed pitcher, first baseman. Caleb is going to be, he's got a little funky delivery. The first time I saw him, we played a game at Franklin County right after he tried out in the summer, and he reminded me of Alex Wood, who pitches for the Braves. We want to keep that. Caleb is going to be one of only 2 left-handers we have next year, so Caleb is going to play a big role for us on the mound going forward. Neelan Harwell was the second one that did double duty for us, dressing varsity and JV, and he Neelan is going to be a good infield. Neelan's going to compete to start next year in the middle infield, and Neelan's another one like JoJo that just plays his tail off at all times, and just does anything you ask to with a smile on his face. Landon is a third baseman, Landon Kohler. Landon got better probably more than anybody, as much as anybody we had, I think, from the time we started in August through the year. We had a practice, we had an open facility right after we got put out, and Landon, and I pointed this out, he may not remember it, Landon played better than anybody on the field. And so good things ahead for Landon because he works hard. Who's next? Kyle Hall. Kyle's a catcher. Kyle got a cup of tea the last game of the year in the varsity, and courtesy ran for us. Kyle can run. Kyle probably blocks as good as anybody, including our two upcoming senior catchers. He will throw. There was a game at Shelbyville, a JV game, and he got beat to death. And I went out there and laughed at him one time because I've been there, and I know it hurts, but there's not much you can do about it. So you shake your head and keep going. But Kyle's tough, and Kyle's going to be a good one because of that. And lastly, Joe Allen. Joe Allen is a heck of an athlete. He can run. He is huge. And a great guy. You got to give him talk to you sometimes. He's a little quiet. But Joe Allen, his athleticism is going to make him a really good outfielder for us going forward. We got a few that aren't here. I'm just going to mention their names. Dylan Hill, Blake Garcia, Tyler Simmons, Garrett Jean, and Seth Bertarelli. So those are all your sophomores. Thank you, guys. All right, next up is the juniors. Let's just do it this way. Juniors, just come on up, and then we'll just roll with it like we did that. Just come on up, juniors, please. Okay, we'll just go in order. I'm going to skip Chandler and come back to him. So sorry, Chandler. Garrett Holland. Garrett was, and Garrett knows this, going into the year before that, before our one preseason scrimmage, Garrett probably wasn't going to factor in playing as much. But then he was forced in, and Garrett played his butt. He plays so hard, and that's what you can say. He's the ultimate team guy. When Corey got healthy and his playing time went down, he never said a word. He only asked how he could help, and he literally would come to, what can I do, Curtis run? And without guys like Garrett Holland, the team chemistry and even with an injury, things like that, you just can't play without him. So he's going to continue to work, and he knows that he's in line next year to be back in the outfield, and I know he's going to get stronger and keep doing that because he's a hard worker. Next is Ty Spray. Ty's pretty much a PO, right, Ty? Would you agree with that? Okay. Ty actually pitched quite a bit for us in relief and dealt with some arm issues, never complained. I don't even know if he knows. He tried to be sneaky, but dealt with some arm stuff, but never. Every time we called on him, he was out there and did pretty well for us. Started a few games, I think. Started a district game against Coffee County, as a matter of fact, a game that we won. So we expect, Ty, he's going to have to factor in and throw a lot of innings for us next year. Next is Kirby Smith. By the way, Kirby Smith was just named to the TBCA All Section 3 team, I think, and he'll be playing in the TBCA Showcase, which is a big deal. There's a lot of teams in our section. It's 2 full regions, and Kirby was selected as one of the catchers. So he'll be going to Murfreesboro in a couple of weeks to compete in that and represent Lincoln County. But Kirby was primarily the catcher, played some first base as well, hit it right in the middle of the lineup all year, had some struggles, but came on late, and, we felt like at the plate, Kirby was one of the guys you wanted up, and that's why he hit where he did. Defensively, and I've told many people this, and when the coaches called me to ask about the TBCA team, they said, we think he's really good defensively. He got so much better defense behind the plate. It really a lot better from the summer, I thought. He's throwing 2 flats, which that's something we talked about consistently at blocking balls. So just really, really excited to have a senior catcher coming back. That cannot be undervalued. Brandon Curbo does everything. He pitches, plays every position on the infield, and catches. He was our primary number 2 catcher. Well, really splitting the number 1 for much of the season. But his ability to play everywhere else makes it pretty hard to stick him back there. He's a 33 on your HT, is that right? Which he upped me one. I challenged them to do that, and 2 of them did, which is embarrassing. 3, I know. But just Curbo works as hard as you could ever ask for. If I tell him to go play center field, he'll do it with a smile on his face and give you everything he got. He can play anywhere, and that cannot be undervalued. At the plate, he grinds out at bats. He gets hit a lot. He does everything he can do to get on base. So really excited again to have him back. Next is Ethan Pruitt. Pruitt caught for us a little bit. He's going to try his hand in the outfield, but Pruitt, he never complained one time. I know he didn't, didn't get to play as much as he liked. Never said one word. Was always there. Worked hard in practice. Continues to work hard. He's working hard this summer already, I know. And Ethan, again, is just the kind of guy you like to have around because everybody likes being around him, and that cannot be undervalued as well. T-Mac, Tyler McCowan. Tyler was our primary shortstop. He dealt with a little wrist thing that kept him off the bump as much as we could have used him. Was our third leading hitter, hit over 300 as a junior. His first year full-time in the lineup. I think T-Mac's a guy going in next year that people's going to expect to be an all-district player. So really looking forward to that. Let's see, Cameron McCoy down there. Cameron and thanks, Grady. Cameron will be the first to tell you he didn't have the year he wanted on the mound, but Cameron, if there is ever a guy who can be more focused on what he's doing, I've never been around a player, and I can say that without as bad as his outing might have been. When I went out there to get him, he said, "Yes, sir," shook his head, handed me the ball, and went to third base and played his butt off. At the end of the year, he was swinging the bat as well as anybody, and I promise you, and I saw it on Sunday, he will be the pitcher that he has been and will be again. And Cameron, you're going to get the ball on Tuesday next year, Tuesday or Wednesday. And he knows that. Lastly, down there is Jacob Dixon. Jacob, left fielder. Pretty much every game he was healthy, he was in left field. When he gets on base, he is havoc. He'll be the first to tell you, like Cameron, that he struggled a little bit to play, but he is another guy. If there's anybody that takes more swings in the cage, then again, I've never seen him in high school. He works his tail off in the cage, and because of that, he has all the tools to be a good player. I tell him that all the time. He's learned to bunt, which is a good thing when you're as fast as he is. So he is going to be a really good player, a guy we rely on next year. Is that it? Except for Chandler. All right, lastly, and the reason I wanted to do Chandler last is I got something to give him. Chandler is our... one thing, and this is a good time to say this. I don't hand out many awards, and here's why. This is, again, I said this. Tonight's about the team. These plaques. This is not what you're going to remember. I really believe that. But there are a few guys that I do want to point out that had great years, and they need to be recognized for that. Chandler, I'm going to give just really 2 on-field awards tonight. That's Pitcher of the Year and Hitter of the Year. And we'll just keep it simple. I think if you asked anybody in this room that watches play, who did you want on the mound in a game you had to win, it would have been him. He just a few numbers here. He threw 40 innings, which is over 8 more than anyone else, 8 1/3 more than anybody else on the team. He struck out 48 in those 40 innings, and he had a 3.5 ERA, which isn't that flashy. It's very solid, but when you consider the fact he was throwing every district game, and those are the biggest games of the year, that's pretty good. You figure if you hold a team to 3.5 runs in district play, you're going to win a lot of those games. So without question, I think with that, also on this is he was one of our 2 all-district players this year. A lot of that had to do with the fact he was also our leading hitter at 393. He also was named to the same team as Kirby, the all-section team. So our Pitcher of the Year and all-district player, Chandler Hardeman, and that's it for the juniors. Thanks. All right. I'm going to introduce the seniors individually, and we'll get them back up here as a group at the end. But before we do that, I want to let Mr. Mike Weatherington and Mr. Steve Austin introduce an award. It is a senior, and if y'all don't mind, we'll go ahead with this.
Thank y'all for being here tonight, and I think most of you that know me know there's not many things I love more than Lincoln County baseball. It's just something about it. My son played a number of years with some of the kids here. I'm not going to give a speech. I know y'all have heard enough of my speeches, but I'll say a couple of things. Just about after every game, I texted with Coach. And when the last game was over, his response was, "Next year starts tomorrow." You're going to win, you're going to lose. I think a lot of you know my family has started a new business venture. Like being in one for 19 years wasn't enough. We had to start and do something else. So, and you get nicks and bruises. You have wins and you have losses. But you're never a loser until you quit. And I don't think I've ever been to a banquet where a coach, well, maybe it helps that he's young, but he knew something about every player. And it should be a given. But I've been to banquets where you didn't think a team had but 3 players. You know what I mean? I mean, I really have. I got to tell one story here tonight. There's a young man here that I'm exceptionally proud of, as I am of all the graduates of Lincoln County High School. Riley McCowan went to Vol State. Still is it? Are you done with Vol State yet, Riley? Yeah, okay. And he's going to the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And I understand it's pretty close to a full scholarship with everything that's there, which makes his mom and dad smile. But Riley, we had played about 3 games one particular week, and it was a Friday night, and we were up by 9 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning, and there was men on, I think the bases were loaded, and Coach Tate had never had a player hit for the cycle. And there's 1 out, and my son's at plate, and you know, he talked about just telling him to strike out, but he said he never told a player to strike out because Riley had a homer, a triple, and a single. He needed a double but my son got a hit, and they were the bad guys, and because it run ruled the other team. Well, fast forward, senior night, you know, everybody puts down what's their favorite accomplishment as a Falcon. So you're thinking about a game that you pitched or a hit that you got. My son put down breaking up Riley McCowan's cycle. So anyway, Riley, we're very proud of your accomplishments and wish you the best from this point forward. And if you get drafted into the pros, we'd all like to go to a game, okay? The Rise Above Award. This came from the last game of the 2012 season. When you kids are senior, you know your kid's not going to play anymore. Well, I didn't want to leave. I know some people can't wait to get gone, but I just could not leave that field. I thought about the games that I'd been able to coach there during middle school and stuff, and the lights were off, and then here comes Coach, and we're talking about different things, and he said certain kids played above their skills. They played above their skills as far as being a team player. So we came up with the Rise Above Award. Another thing that happened in the 2012 season, we had St. Jude's night for Austin Murphy. A lot of you, Steve will tell you about Austin's history, but Austin would have been part of that class, but he had fought cancer for 9 months and missed a few years of school, and the team kind of adopted Austin. He was part of the team, and we had a night that was Austin Murphy night. And we got to thinking, nobody has risen above more than Austin Murphy. The challenges that it took every single day. You don't necessarily have to be the best player on the team to get this particular award. The first year we did it, it was presented to a young man who had played ball on the field most of, I guess, since he was 4 or 5 years old. But he volunteered to be a pitcher only, and that was Zach Harwell, who's also with us tonight. Last year, I'm not saying being pitcher only gets you to do this, but another young man that just gave it everything he had was Nick Gatlin. So he won the award last year. So to me, it's a very prestigious thing. It carries with it a $1,000 one-time scholarship to the school of your choice, and along with your name being on a plaque permanently at Lincoln County High School. And there will be another small plaque for the winner tonight, but we just don't have it yet. But I'll let Steve come up and talk about Austin, and then Coach can tell you who won the award this year.
Some of you may know Austin. He was operated on at age 7 with medulloblastoma, and as a young person, he was. Of course, I'm a grandfather. You know, all your grandkids is number one. So you have to look over that. But he pretty well had it all. He had it all. And a lot of the kids that on 2012, that night that he was honored at St. Jude, a lot of the kids he started out playing ball with, back in coaching's pitch and actually Little League when they were actually pitching, I guess. But anyway, Mike has been a very big supporter of us during this whole time. But Austin, he never lost his drive to be. He's always a perfectionist. I mean, if he was drawing something, he would make it perfect. And so that helped him. That helped him get through a lot because he always had that drive to get back. And but the night of the 2012, that whole day, I think the teachers and students wore the jersey all day long at school. It had Austin's name on the back of it, and that meant a lot to him. He had lost a whole lot, but that day he was part of the team. And excuse me, sir. It's kind of hard for me to talk about him because I know the team gave him a baseball bat. He's got that bat, and all of them signed it, and they gave him a coat too, Falcon coat. And if you see him out now anywhere, if it's not cold or if it's a little bit chilly, he's got that coat on. He's wearing that coat. It's got the big Falcon on it. So, but that night, the honor that the team gave him that night, giving him a chance to be part of the team again, meant a whole lot. And Mike, we really think about that. Really appreciate that. And the award. I mean, we've tried to get him here a lot. He's 21 now. He graduated in 2013. I think Paul Henry said something in the paper about him that I'll never forget. He said that he is just something that night that he graduated and walked across that stage. So it meant a bunch for him. But he's doing okay now. He's never had any recurrences or anything. He lost a lot, but as I say, he had a lot to lose, and he's still with us. He lost all his athletic ability, of course, and some of his processing speeds and things like that. He's still with us, though, and he enjoys coming to the game when I can get him to the game. A lot of times it's hard for me to get him to the game, but he's always got that Falcon jacket on. He's always part of the team. So, but thank you, appreciate it.
When Mike and Mr. Austin asked me to pick a player for this award and kind of told me what went into it, there were several names that I thought about and took. I took it very seriously. I feel like it's something that needs to go to the right person. I think there were several that could have received it and would have been the right person, but this guy, and it's funny, and I hadn't even thought about this part, but when Mike was talking about Zach and how he volunteered to be a PO, and I thought about this guy who volunteered. He came to my office. We were struggling, and he and a couple other guys and said, it just volunteered and played a different position, a position I don't think he'd ever played. And so that's kind of fitting with this. He talks about playing over his head. This guy played over his head, and I'm stealing a little of the thunder that I was going to talk about later. But baseball, you all know who Bobby Cox is, I imagine, the manager for the Braves for years and years. And he would anytime anybody ever asked him what makes a great baseball player, and he said the same thing that makes a great person, that's consistency. And this guy was as consistent as anybody we had. You knew exactly what we were going to get out of this player every day. Max effort. There were more talented guys on the team. He'd be the first to tell you that. But you knew exactly what you were going to get. That guy and the 2015 recipient of the Austin Murphy Rise Above Award is Logan Smith.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'll come back to you. Yeah. Here. Stay there, Mom. Okay, last thing, and I'm gonna hush and we'll get out of here. We'll talk just a little bit about each senior. I think this is most special to them. I hope it is. For me, that's the most special part about this, is the last time we are together as a team with these guys. Two of them were not able to be here tonight, had prior engagements. One of them is Tanner Gardner. Just quick about Tanner. Tanner, when Tanner tried out, he hadn't played in a couple years. He had some knee injuries from football. When Tanner tried out, I told Tanner, I said, I was a catcher. For those of you who don't know, I like catchers, and he was a catcher. And I said, you never have too many catchers. And I told him, the deal. I said, you can compete for a start to play, and if you don't outcompete the guys that'll be competing, you're not going to play a whole lot. He said, yes, sir. And that's how the year went. He never complained. He understood. He did what was asked of him, and always had a positive attitude about it. So I appreciate everything Tanner gives us. We have something special for him. We'll get to him later. The next one was Chance Kimbrough. Chance was our manager. For those of you that don't know, Chance had surgery on his back 2 years ago, I think, 2 or 3. The older guys can tell you better than I. But that limited his ability, his athletic ability, but just loved baseball. If there's anybody that loved being a part of our baseball team, it was nobody more than Chance. And he great effort. Anything I asked him to do, he always did it with a smile on his face. I'll never forget and never get over senior night when I told him that I would get him in, and I didn't. And it was a game, I think we won 3-2, and I just forgot. I mean, that was it. And I apologized to him, and I just wanted y'all to know that, and I still feel really bad about it. But he understood, and he was no worse for the wear. All right, the guys that are here. Say a little bit about each guy, and I want to present them with something that I hope that is special to them. This first guy, along with the next guy, the first two, I guess I'll talk about. They did not have the year that they wanted to because of injury. They really never got off the ground. The first game, and I'm talking about Kaler. Wait to come up here so I can talk about you. Kaler, the first game I coached at Lincoln County was a game at Columbia. Where you at? There you are. A game at Columbia Central in the summer, and we'd practiced once before, I think, and I'd kind of got to know the guys, what position they played. Kaler went out, and the first game tore his labrum on the mound. Went through the surgery, got back, played a little basketball, and the shoulder, despite what he tells you, is not 100%. Despite what he might tell me, it's not. I know that. But he gutted it out and competed and ended up being one of the first guys out of the bullpen by the end of the year. And I told him this, I think it was the Forest, after the Lighthouse game against Forest, and I told it in front of the whole team, he competes as hard as anybody. When he is on the mound, he is competing his tail off. He did it from start to finish. He's a guy everybody loved to have around. A guy I'll miss. I mean, again, just the ultimate competitor. When I think of Keller Monks, that's what I think is a competitor. So, here's what we've got for each of the guys. In the past, a lot of people do plaques. I felt like this would be something that you could kind of keep and hopefully hang on your wall, hang on to. So, there it is. Keller Monks, thank you. I should have said this before, but this something that I want to do each year, and maybe I'm sure there's better ideas, but that I've done in the past is the senior jersey. And for those of you who came to those Fun Booster Clubs meeting the first year when we was going over the budget, we talked about cycling jerseys out every 3 years. Well, next year we'll get new whites, and they get these. So that's kind of how this will go, hopefully, for as long as I'm here. The next guy was another guy, and you already know who I'm talking about, whose year was derailed because of injury. And this one hurt me. I mean, it did, because Corey, from what I understand, his first 2 years at LCHS didn't play a whole lot, but he worked, for me, he worked his tail off. I don't think anybody got any better. No, and I've said this twice now, I know, but no one got better than Corey did in his year. He was going into the season playing as good as anybody. Offensively, defensively, he was diving around in our inner squads, making plays, running well, pitching well. When I first came here, he was down low, and And we moved him up, and he was getting guys out. He was throwing his changeup. And we had 2 preseason games, and he lunged into first base and tore his meniscus and had to have surgery, which kind of knocked it. And I know how much it tore him up because I knew what he had into it and how much he was looking forward to being that guy. But at the end of the year, he still was that guy. He came back. He'd come back off of surgery in like 3 weeks and was begging me to play before that. And I'm like, I'll get sued if I put you up there and you're not clear. So, but he came back and he wasn't 100%. And he would lie to me through his teeth and tell me he was. But anybody that watched him run knew he wasn't 100%. But we still put him out there. He still had great at-bats. He was another guy at the end of the year that I felt great about anytime he was up there, whether it was getting hit or whatever it was. He was finding a way to get on base. And I don't think just what he put into it to overcome that knee and to beat the disappointment I know he felt, and I can feel it right. I mean, and I felt it for him, and I truly, truly mean that. He also received, and I've got a plaque for him on this, he received the Baseball Scholarship Award through the school. That's Corey Hummerdale. All right, the next guy I want to talk about, I've already said a lot of the things I have written down here about Logan. I want to reiterate one thing, and that's the consistency thing. Logan, and he'd be the first to tell you, he wasn't the most talented or maybe not the best player on the team, but you knew what you were going to. He didn't go through a slump at any point. Defensively, he played 4 positions, I think, 5 if you count the mound. And that was another thing I should have pointed out. In the summer, we were short on guys in a scrimmage or in a tournament at Tullahoma, and I was like, who can pitch? And T-Mac got hurt, if you remember that, tore his hip or hurt, strained a hip flexor. And Logan's like, I don't pitch, but I'll pitch. I was like, well, yeah, okay. And he continued. He didn't let him leave. So that another just example of his selflessness, which is one of the reasons he received the award already. But again, with the consistency, high school players, and I talk about this all the time. If you can just focus on the next pitch, because no matter what happened on the last one, it has no effect on the next one, and that's life. And he could do that as well as anybody we had, and that's why he was able to have that consistency. And I hope that some of the guys sitting back there see that and take that in the next year, because when you can do that and truly live on the next pitch and not let bad things happen, because baseball is a game of failure. I mean, if you're afraid to fail, you can't play this game. Not well. You have to be willing to fail. And Logan did that. He's already received the other award. In addition to the Austin Murphy Rise Above Award, he received the Ryan Gentry Memorial Scholarship Award, and that's Logan Smith. All right, the last guy, he's sitting back there in the back, wondering why I ain't saying anything about him. Grady was our obviously most of you know, signed with LMU, Division II, going to be a rail splitter. I think, I'll say this about Grady, and this will save me a lot of words. At the district meeting at the end of the year, we voted on all district. Voted 20 guys as audition. That's how they do it, and how many slots you get depends upon how you finish. It's set, and there's really nothing to it. Grady was one of our 2 guys, along with Chandler Hardeman, and 16 of the 20 were seniors. And the other coaches were talking about how bad the district was going to be next year, and I'm like, I hope y'all are bad. But we were talking about the names, and Coach Pickle and Coach White. Coach Pickle, I've already mentioned, is coach at Columbia. Coach White's the coach at Tullahoma. We were talking about our guys, and they said, "No, Hardeman." I said, "He's a junior," and they said, "Please tell me Grady Wright's a senior." Both of those guys said that. So I think that speaks to the type of career Grady had here, because he was that guy. He was the guy in the lineup, regardless of what his numbers were. There's no doubt about it that Grady was the last guy the opposing team wanted at the plate. He led us in almost every offensive category: on base percentage, RBIs, doubles. Chandler squeaked by him in the last 2 games of the year to get just missed the Triple Crown. But he hit 387, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's why he is getting the Best Hitter award. He's also getting the All-District award. And just in closing, Grady, I don't think there's any question. Not just because he was the one guy we had signed, but just because of who he is. Grady was the guy that most looked up to, and along with all the seniors. But Grady, again, he was the guy they didn't want to play. And so the best hitter, all District 8 AAA, and our senior, Grady Wright. I can't do both. We'll shake hands later. All right, that's it for me, right? Okay. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble on for like an hour, which was way longer than I'd hoped. At this point, I think Teresa Smith and the Diamond Dolls have a little presentation, so I'm going to let them do their thing, and I'm going to sit down. So thank you.
Actually, I need the senior boys up here for just a minute.
I didn't know I was talking until right now, so I'm going to read this. An excellent coach is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. Thanks for everything, Coach Allen. Also, because we're a great senior class, we bought Braves tickets for Coach Allen because he's a diehard Braves fan. So,
They might not be grade A seats.
Okay, Sadie, can you come help? The girls, well, I take pictures all year, and the girls take some pictures, and they've worked really hard this year, and I want to thank all the girls for everything that you did, whether it was in the concession stand or that ultimate job that all of you love, and asking people from the other team to get out of the special seating area. So the reserve seats, and that was kind of hard for, a high school girl to ask a grown man to move, and they were tough, and they did it, and I was proud of them. But they've done a lot of work that behind the scenes that a lot of you don't know, and I just really thank you a lot. Sadie and some of the girls have really done a lot of work for the senior boys. We're going to ask the boys to come up one at a time and get their scrapbook. A lot of effort has gone into this, so guys, Please make sure you say thank you. Sometimes us mamas have to remind you. Keller Monks. And we want to get a picture of all the award winners tonight and all the seniors with their shirts and their scrapbooks. Logan Smith. Corey Hummerding. Grady Wright. Your mamas will appreciate these scrapbooks, but your mamas will appreciate the scrapbooks, but ultimately in 10 years, I promise you, will be your most favorite thing. And Tanner Gardner, but Tanner's not here, and we'll get that to him. That's it. Thanks.
All of these are just administrative remarks I'm going to make. If you want to fill them, you can. That's all the presentations. Okay. Just a couple of things. Senior parents, you may want to tune out on this. You probably don't even want to hear what I have to say, but just wanted to take time for a little bit of Booster Club business here. First of all, tryouts have been moved to 11 o'clock tomorrow at Falcon Field. If you know anybody that was planning on trying out, of course I know the underclassmen have to try out, but if you know anybody else, if you please help us get the word out on that. The tryouts have moved to 11 tomorrow morning because of the field being too wet today. 2 weeks after that, on the 16th, we have a Booster Club meeting scheduled. We'll be sending out a message about that. I haven't asked Patty to send it out yet, but I will. Main thing we're going to do is meet the new parents, and also we're going to do nominations for next year's officers, so be thinking about that. If you've got somebody you want to nominate for something, be thinking about that. Patty is most anxious to pass along the mantle of most messages sent in a year as soon as she can, so I'm going to try to accommodate that for her. I've been in that position, and I appreciate what she's done this year. And then the week after that, which will be dead period, Coach Allen won't be able to be at the meeting, but we're going to have a meeting to elect officers for next year, so we can let Patty off the hook on that. I just want to thank everybody for what you've done this year. We had an outstanding year as a Booster Club. I think we had an outstanding year. I'm looking for a better one next year. We're able to cut the player fee considerably. I'd like to see us completely do away with one. I'd like to see us continue to pay down on the debt on the hitting facility and things like that. That's one of the things we talked about last year, and we're making some progress toward that. And then we can begin to look at things that we can do as far as capital improvements in the future. And I was talking to Coach Allen this morning about some things that we were thinking we might could put on the wish list to continue to improve the program, make it better. Hopefully we can get started on that soon. We got a golf tournament coming up in about 2 months, about 2.5 months out here, scheduled for August the 22nd. So we've got signs to sell and all that good stuff. So is there anything from the floor that we need to talk about? Anybody got anything they want to say? Open mic night. Okay, thank y'all for coming. We appreciate everything you've done. Okay, if you received an award tonight, please stay. Paul would like to get your picture. Thank you.
It ends up